Hey Wargamers, I'm Josh and this is Wargames Delivered. Today we're going to be talking about making some terrain and how to utilize things that you've already got in your possession to make some pretty cool set pieces. Once we've removed all of the pieces out of the kit, we went ahead and did the assembly process. I went through and used super glue to tack everything down. Right in here, I make my first mistake. You see me hit super glue across these gaps to try and tack everything together. And then without waiting for the super glue to dry, I take my Tamiya extra thin plastic cement to start melting some of the gaps. And I run that directly over the super glue, completely ruining the brush on the inside of my Tamiya extra thin. I went ahead, got the assembly finished, cracked up the windows and glass for the cockpit, tail gunner, all those pieces, and then I said a prayer and cut the tail off. Using the Game Master XPS foam, I cut out bases for each of the pieces, decided how I wanted them, dug some divots to let them sit in the channels a little bit better. I cut them out randomly so there was a little bit less uniformity to them. Make sure you check us out at www.wargamesdelivered.com, link in description below, so you can take advantage of all of our great deals and promotions that we're running right now. Once the pieces were all glued in place and ready to rock, I grabbed some spackling from my shelf, from my work shelf, and I loaded that over each of the pieces of styrofoam to give them a base coat and a little bit of additional protection across that styrofoam. The spackling that I use does have about a 4 to a 4.5 hour drying time, depending on how thick you put it on, so make sure you keep that in mind as you are working with it on a model. I do love spackling for working on models. I think it creates a very, very nice and easy to work with base coat for dioramas. It would look excellent being the outer material on a house. Like the outer hard shell of a house that you see over the top of the exposed brickwork. For the life of me, I cannot think of the name. Once you have all of the spackling dry and it has changed from pink to white, that's the type that I used at least, I went ahead and gave everything a base coat in burnt umber as a color to make a nice brown, dirty undertone to make it look kind of like mud. Once I had each of those 4 pieces completely base coated, once I had the styrofoam completely base coated, I did go back through and add in 4 different color variations of mud, ranging from black to red to a nice dark gray mud, and then a color called European mud, which is like a brown, light, kind of a baby diarrhea brown, for lack of a better color combination here. Once that was done, you can see the 4 colors spread out in front of me there. Once those were on there, it really changed the look of the base and brought out a little bit more of that realism, that, well, that dirt look. While those bases were drying, I tried to keep my fingers off of them, and I went through and I attached the different panels of glass to the model itself using a clear canopy glass from Revel. I went through and I added the rear tail gunners glass, the upper domed glass, and as well as the broken cockpit glass. I did not attach any of the nose cone glass or the nose cone glass front cap, primarily because I feel like when impacted, those 2 things would have shattered, so I did not want to keep them there. Once all of the glass was in place, I went through and I did some highlighting and some edge highlighting and some different colors for variation throughout the actual model itself. I used some silver for accents. I mixed some of that silver with some olive green to create a darker rubbing that looks like what would happen if, say, it got wet or a little bit burned as the paint started to chip and fade. Make sure you check out the description below to make sure that you get your entry into the giveaway that we're running with this video. The absolute last thing that I did before this saw its adventure into the tabletop was I went through and I lightly colored in the what would be the metal pieces of these glass canopies. I am so excited about how this one turned out on the tabletop. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos like this. I'm Josh. This is Wargames Delivered. Thank you so much. And until next time, we'll see you on the tabletop.